In America, I am known as Michael Patrick Hassett. 7,500 miles away in the Kingdom of Tonga, I am known by a different name, Maikolo Patuliki. Tonga is located in Oceania, northeast of New Zealand, and is comprised of 176 islands, 36 of which are inhabited. It is the only Pacific island that was not colonized by a European power, a fact that Tongans proudly boast. Few have heard of this small island nation. I myself was ignorant of its existence until I was invited to serve there in 2012 with the United States Peace Corps. Becoming a Peace Corps volunteer has always been one of my dreams. It combined all of my passions: travel, adventure, and service. However, leaving my family and friends and life in the States was extremely intimidating and difficult. Before I got on the plane to leave for Tonga, I cried for the first time of my Peace Corps service. Despite my tears and fears, I got on my plane in Pittsburgh and got off in Tonga. It was the best decision I have ever made. The first few months were tough. Language acquisition was slow, and the combinations of sickness and boredom were dampers. In Tonga, the primary source of entertainment is spending time with your community. Thankfully, Tongans are very welcoming and warm, and my village accepted me quickly as a member of their community. I knew I was a Peace Corps volunteer when my village stopped calling me a Palangi, their word for a foreigner, and was simply called Maikolo. In Tonga, it is not uncommon for a house to hold 10 to 12 people. Since I lived alone, my neighbors felt sorry for me, so I was regularly invited over to my neighbors' houses for lunch and dinner. It got to be so frequent I once went 4 months without cooking. I rapidly became so close with two people, Pelakani and Utalata, that in time they both began calling me their Palangi son. I became such a veritable part of these two families that Pelakani's first grandson was named after me, Michael Patrick Kalvaka. These relationships proved invaluable. When I contracted dengue fever twice, it was they who took care of me. They came to my home with food, did my laundry, filled up my drinking water buckets, and sat with me while I shook with 103-degree fever under a pile of blankets in 90-degree weather. I felt embarrassed that I couldn't take care of myself, and when I told them how I felt, they looked at me in astonishment and said, "Maikolo, you are my son. I love you." Again, I cried. Femoli moli'i is a proverbial word in Tongan which means everyone takes a share. This single word epitomizes the Tongan way of life. Everybody takes a share of everything. Work, funerals, celebrations, food, prayer, literally everything. As a member of my village, I too adopted this lifestyle. Some of it was unpleasant, like attending funerals and kissing the bodies of deceased neighbors, attending 4-hour church services during the holidays, and going to the bush to harvest root crop. But much of it was thoroughly remarkable. Teaching my neighbors how to play chess, dancing in village fundraisers, and getting to teach my wonderful group of kids every day. Quicker than I anticipated, I reached the end of my service. Before departing, my community held a farewell ceremony for me, during which my neighbors delivered tearful whakamalos, or public thank yous. I was so touched by the community's words because throughout my service I felt that I had learned far more than I taught, and received considerably more than I gave. As I was leaving my village for the last time, my students waved after me and shouted my name as my Tongan families drove me to the airport. Getting on the plane to come back to America was the hardest thing I have ever done. As the plane took off, I was able to see my family and friends on the observatory balcony still waving goodbye. Again, I cried. My time in Tonga taught me that the similarities between people far outweigh the differences. I know this because I am the Palangi who became a Tongan son.